Hi, my name's Ryan Sayre, and I've experienced dozens of small, medium, and large scale migrations of different kinds across the world and in many industries. I've had a gamut of IT experiences, from attending hacker conventions in the 1990s to getting out of a speeding ticket because I was racing to an over provisioned data center that was an imminent fire hazard. Thankfully, I'm at AWS now, and where they keep the computing well provisioned and efficiently cooled. I focus on block storage here at AWS, and I'm happy to be on Twitch. And in the spirit of gaming, I've got my retro joystick helping me to progress to the next level. I don't know how well it progresses with PowerPoint, but we'll give it a go. I'm here celebrating the 15th birthday of S3 with a slight change of tune, sharing a little bit more context about migrating data into AWS and sharing some experiences about what I've seen that works well for others. Let's get right to it, shall we? We only have 30 minutes to cover a fairly wide gamut, so I'll excitedly get into some of the details and hopefully have a bit of time at the end for questions. Don't worry, if you have embarrassing migration concerns that are best mentioned privately, you can always reach out to us directly after the call. So, what's lift and shift? Despite the cute forklift that you see on your screen, the effort of getting data into the cloud usually doesn't require any physical lifting at all. Rather, it's the method of rehosting an application into the AWS cloud and ensuring that it has the resources it needs to run efficiently and effectively. It's something that we at AWS take really seriously because for a lot of environments, there are potentially a number of dependencies, some technical, some business related, which brings out a bit of the detective, the project manager, and the technical architect in all of us. For many circumstances, lift and shift is not necessarily the easiest way of moving an application, but really the only way we can ensure that these sensitive and critical applications can survive and thrive in the AWS cloud. I should confess to you one thing at this point. I'm not going to talk much about S3 directly because most existing applications will need to land on similar environments, familiar operating systems, compatible compute instances, and storage providing similar or better capabilities as the origin. You see here, we break down the cloud evolution into three parts, starting from lift and shift and evolving compute platforms into an always on, containerized, or even serverless architecture that leverages one or more data lakes in S3. However, not every journey needs to go that far. Sometimes rehosting an existing application and optimizing its environment in the cloud is perfectly reasonable. So lift and shift can both exist as a starting point for some and an endpoint for others. Not all apps need the effort to modernize in the cloud. You can choose your battles wisely. Now, our customers know that decisions about data you make today will actually shape the applications of tomorrow. That's because data is the catalyst for the next idea that transforms your business. Our customers take different approaches on how they use storage depending on how their application takes advantage of the features. Some are dealing with a data explosion, while others need performance and agility to power their business processes. Let's dive deeper to see why customers migrate to AWS using a lift and shift approach to embark on their cloud journey. Here's some of the popular reasons why customers migrate to the cloud. The items highlighted in yellow are all great reasons for migrating to the cloud with minimal changes to the applications themselves, i.e. lift and shift. It's a combination of leveraging a set of services that enable both cost savings and organizational agility. Now, the last one in the corner is a great reason to build new business capabilities that complement what you've built already. It's not an all or nothing situation, though. Make life easy on everyone involved and focus on the most pressing needs, whether is getting out of a data center, acquiring new skills and capabilities, or just being able to modernize something that has been stuck in a data center for a long time. EBS is on a continual path towards feature enhancement and cost savings, multiplying the effectiveness of other areas of innovation, whether it's latency sensitive applications that need to have a consistent response time, or a legacy application that just can't go away, where cost savings is key. We've got a storage volume to match your compute profile. In December at reInvent 2020, we talked about two major things. GP3, which offers a per gigabyte 20% cost savings against our previous general purpose storage type, and also IO2 Block Express, providing a low latency, highly durable volume over a faster, more parallelized transport we call Block Express. Back in the olden days, A lot of skepticism and worry about moving these legacy applications to the cloud existed because of their unique demands on infrastructure. They needed to have their exclusive path, super fast infrastructure. Well, that might have been a concern maybe 10 years ago, but those arguments today are really fading away. And beyond just those two volume types that we just mentioned, there are even more that you can choose from to maximize your outcomes that you desire with AWS. Let's set some context. We accept that block storage is foundational. It's used to boot operating systems powered by EC2 compute instances and provide data volumes for many of our managed services. Thinking about block, your device that you're watching this presentation booted its operating system, loaded its web browser, and other productivity applications off of a block storage device inside. Block is practically everywhere and in every market that we serve. So we're mindful to recommend the right volume for lift and shift. Migration is a combination of application architecture and execution into the cloud. One critically important piece of how you transfer is how you transfer your application data. We've got a number of services that allow data to be transferred in and out of AWS using a variety of protocols and functionality. From physical devices you actually take in and copy data onto and ship back to an AWS data center, to locally installed gateway systems and enhanced protocols copying data over, we've got you covered. Some of these architectures anchor on filling your S3 data lake, which is fantastic for building new capabilities in the cloud. But here's where I focus a little bit on one more, on a particular tool that we have, which is Cloud Endure. We've seen that it helps in lift and shifts migrations quite a bit. Cloud Endure, acquired by AWS in January 2019, is used by customers and APN partners for large-scale lift and shift server migrations. Cloud Endure supports a wide variety of source platforms, whether it be physical servers, virtual servers, or a mix of them on your estate. Cloud Endure uses a unique block-level replication strategy to achieve a near zero downtime migration. And customers using Cloud Endure have actually migrated thousands of servers over a weekend with very tight service windows. It's a really simple setup that lets you start up in minutes. Allows you to be able to migrate with minimal business disruption. It eliminates that complexity and reduces risk. And best of all, it's available for free to all AWS customers. And we'll have a link at the very end if you want to start playing with that. So when you're thinking about moving to the cloud, there's lots of questions, and we've got an idea of the tools that are available to us, but migrations lead to questions that sometimes ask even more questions. As we've talked to many leaders about migrating to AWS, common questions that come up early are like, what do I move to AWS and in what order does it make sense? For example, what do we lift and shift? What do we replatform? And what do we refactor into a modern architecture? How do I start this journey? And do we have the skills to migrate and then operate in the AWS cloud? Those questions are as much around people and process as they are around technology. We've got a number of related online resources on AWS and cloud literacy. At AWS, we have taken our 12 years of experience in helping enterprise migrate, modernize, and operate on AWS, and we've built a proven approach for large-scale migrations. Now, this is where I get to have a little bit of my own personal advice from my experiences migrating data into the cloud. My advice: start with the most common applications first. Commercial applications such as databases and already virtualized environments. These are frequently the easiest to measure and abstract. They come in a VM, they come in a box, and you're able to move them and convert them over to however you need to have them exist in the cloud already. There's lots of documentation, and thousands of organizations have undertaken a similar migration into AWS already. Everyone has been experiencing many of the same types of shifts, so you're not alone in your lift and shift journey. Ah, and one tip, which I think is really interesting, is if it's easy to reduce the footprint of your compute and data at the source, definitely do it. It translates to actually less data to transfer and synchronize, and a smaller data storage footprint to start in the cloud. Historically, on-prem customers had to provision for peak usage, but with the cloud, you have the tools to automatically scale these resources more effectively. Right sizing at the source has shown savings up to 70% on your monthly bill, so don't discount the cleanup step before you move the data over. Now, specific to the organization, you'll have to have stakeholder buy-in for your case. And many times the business circumstances mentioned earlier in this session are the primary drivers for this. There are three phases in our approach to complete the large-scale migrations, and then you start operating and optimizing in the cloud. The first one is the assessment phase. We build a business case, and we perform a cloud readiness assessment and get an understanding of the dependencies involved. The second part is a mobilization phase where we build an AWS infrastructure, a migration plan, and mobilize the business to migrate at scale. And finally, number three, a migration and modernization plan where we move workloads to AWS. And a cloud operating model is put in place once in AWS to run and optimize for further business benefit. Sometimes refactoring into a managed service makes sense. Sometimes a complete replatform is justified. Sometimes just getting an application out of an old data center and moved into AWS is modernization enough. Back to back to Cloud Endure. I thought you'd want to know a little bit more about how it works. I, I suspect you want a little more details. Cloud Endure installs an agent on the origin machine, and it replicates the data into a staging area where the data is kept up to date for cutover, meaning it maintains good synchronization between the source and destination volumes. Then we set up and define a similarly configured target machine in the blueprint so that we can use that for the host that serves the application in the freshly synchronized data. There's lots of documented examples to help you define your blueprint, test, verify your target server configuration. And once you're satisfied that the applications are doing what they're supposed to do in the AWS cloud, you can cut over your application and enjoy your new cloud-enabled environment powered by AWS. Now, of course, it's not all about a single tool or process in isolation. Using a migration plan alongside what and how you're choosing to create and manage your destination is ideal. This planning and documentation phase also means that you can start with one migration, then continue to scale with the tools and resources available to you in AWS. And if you've got questions, AWS and the partner network can help you understand, migrate, and optimize for your desired outcome. Once you've had a couple of these under your belt, it becomes very straightforward and natural to repeat on a variety of workloads that you may have. Now, we have customers all over the globe transforming their business models and their operating models. We've helped thousands of organizations migrate hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of applications. But as recent examples, let me talk about the US Department of Defense and talk about Qantas Airlines. In the case of the DoD, it was the Defense Logistics Agency, which is the largest combat support arm and provides logistics support to the US military during peacetime and emergencies. They moved 5 applications with more than 70 external interfaces, 200 virtual machines, and more than 300 terabytes of data in 138 days, which was 6 weeks ahead of schedule. This helped them improve security, infrastructure stability, and application performance to be better prepared to handle emergencies. With Qantas, a major Australian airline, they're now 60% migrated to AWS and have migrated over 200 applications to AWS. Airlines, as you know, have been particularly hit by the COVID-19 lockdown, and their CIO had decided to lean into the cloud even more in the circumstances and seek greater cost savings by accelerating the move of more applications onto AWS and shutting down their on-premise systems. Qantas has enjoyed considerable success in reducing costs through optimizing usage, using a two-way strategy of rule-based automation engines to turn off unused resources out of hours, and using right-sizing to identify opportunities to downsize their over-provisioned EC2 or EBS volumes. In this case, Qantas has indicated up to 30% cost savings. Pretty good. All of these customer quotes result from a successful migration where EBS also played a role in serving the data. And it's not just EBS was a short-term landing spot. We see companies like this that weren't born in the cloud continue to accelerate their born in the data center architecture using the best of what AWS has to offer. Fast forward on these customers 1 to 5 years, you see those lift and shift applications complemented by customers innovating and leveraging a mix of additional AWS services, from EBS to managed file services to data lakes, and their backup and synchronization for DR. We want to stress that TCO is now table stakes for any migration project, and that lift and shift migration drives real business outcomes delivering value. These outcomes include staff productivity, operational resilience, and business agility, in addition to cost savings. It's imperative that you define metrics to measure these categories upfront while developing the business case. From there, assign responsibility to measure and report on the metrics throughout the migration project. Now, why choose AWS for lift and shift migrations? AWS is the most experienced, helping all types of organizations migrate to the cloud. AWS and our partner ecosystem have helped customers successfully migrate all types of workloads to AWS, including large scale migrations of tens of thousands of servers. Based upon our years of migration experience, we developed the methodology, best practices, tools, and services to help simplify and accelerate migrations. With automation and data driven guidance, AWS simplifies each step of the migration process, reducing the effort and complexity involved. This helps accelerate your migrations by reducing the time to realize your value of your cloud migration. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how do I get started? Well, I've got a lot of great links. Take the cloud readiness assessment. It gives you an idea of how far you are in the journey of being able to move into the cloud. And a number of these actually help prepare people as well as their environments to thrive in the cloud. So take a look at the Migration Evaluator, uh, take some migration training, either online or in person, and have a play with Cloud Endure. Cloud Endure is free, so you might as well start to enjoy it and see how easy it is to be able to migrate into the cloud. I believe these links are also provided in the chat as well. And while we've talked quite a bit about lift and shift migrations mentioning EBS and Cloud Endure, I'd like to emphasize that we have an impressive array of storage services that help you get the most out of what you have. Services that protect, perform, and help transform the way that customers use data. We're celebrating S3 during Pi Week, and we're proud to enable significant transformation at AWS. Thanks for having me. I think that we might have just a little bit of time left for Q&A.
Ha, magic of production. I am back. Awesome. Lift and shift is clearly a critical first step for so many companies in their journey to the cloud. So I'm glad we got to include this one today, especially when we're talking about data lakes. This isn't really a pointed question from chat, but just something that I learned, which is that the Cloud Endure migration program essentially is entirely free and available to AWS customers. That would, if I had to migrate a huge workload or a huge amount of files and objects, I feel like that's my first place that I would want to start, right? Like a managed application purpose built for this, and it's free. Like, what more could I want?
It's something that people can start playing with today and get comfortable with. So if you've already have like a minor application that you want to move into the cloud, maybe you can be able to experiment and prove that it works. And that could actually bolster the use case or the business case for your internal stakeholders to say, hey, this works. Let's go all in.
Yeah, exactly. And if anyone in chat has questions for Ryan, would love to get those asked. I'm in the meantime going to sort of harp on another point that you had said, which I think is really salient, right? Like whenever you're performing a migration of any type, whether it's for your data store, whether it's for your application, what have you, you don't want to change too many things all at once, right? And that's really sort of what scares a lot of folks away from starting their journey into the cloud, right? And lift and shift, I know sometimes it has some people will use a negative connotation with it, but in my opinion, and maybe I'm excited to hear yours, like it is a necessary first step from your on-premises or other alternative hosting solution into the cloud, which then makes it significantly easier to perform that cloud native transformation of your infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, some people have a lot of technical debt. Let's say there's an example of a customer who had 25-year-old Perl code, and for various reasons, they did not want to make any transformations of that Perl code. They wanted to preserve it in place. But when they heard about IO2 Block Express, it actually made that Perl code run faster than what they were experiencing on-prem. And so they were quite excited to actually take something that was historically just locked into the data center and finally be able to turn it into a cloud application. So there's lots of different reasons that people might have in not transforming their data, but once it's in the cloud, you can be able to make changes as you need and as the priorities of the business evolve.
Yeah, certainly. And this is not necessarily S3 related, but on the topic of migration of data and trying to give more of a concierge handheld experience to folks. A call out to Amazon DMS. Again, I know this is database week. It's Pi week for S3. But if you are working with some sort of database that is on premises or on another hosting provider or co-located somewhere, what have you, DMS offers, to my understanding, a very similar sort of solution where you sort of designate your source of your database, and you can choose from a variety of different destinations here on AWS, both between in some instances entirely different database engines if there's direct compatibility there, but additionally for the various different options, either on your own, self-managed EC2 instance or RDS or what have
And
you.
and actually, if databases, if they have, if a customer has not done a lot of complicated things with their database, they're just using it as is, and they're optimized for the particular commercial package, then they can potentially even skip EC2 and go straight to managed, and still reap a lot of the rewards of that type of architecture. So DMS is great. Call out to my friends in the RDS service. It's really a great option for people that either want to be in control of every aspect except for the physical hardware. That's great for lift and shift. Or if they want to be able to say, look, take care of the patching, take care of the operation behind the scenes. I just want to be able to optimize my actual database structure, and RDS or moving even further into the cloud is a great option.
Yeah, and Ryan, I'm watching Twitch chat. I think you said the magic words, which are not Alakazam, not Hocus Pocus, but technical debt. Asethi in chat is saying that they feel like they hear their manager say the term technical debt 100 times a day. And DevOps guy in chat also saying technical debt is better than credit card debt. But I don't know. I've seen some instances where technical debt can cost you a lot more than a percent interest on your monthly your monthly bill, depending on how dangerous it could be.
Oh my goodness. Well, I feel you guys' pain in migrating to a modern world. I was dealing with Perl embedded code in Windows startup scripts in a DCA controlled environment. Lots of different weird kind of early 2000s kind of legacy code environments, and I feel your pain. But the good thing that you guys have now is that there have been a lot of people that have dealt with a lot of these really annoying architectures, and so there's best practices to be able to deal with this technical debt. It's not like we're having to migrate AVAX into the cloud for the first time. So life is good in at least going into the cloud in 2021. So I'm very happy to at least say help is on the way and you're not alone.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously this has been a recurring theme that I've been speaking about over the 2 days of Pi Week now, but just a testament to the longevity of a service like S3, the ability to author code and build systems atop it that don't have breaking changes in the API over time. That just means so much. From, tech debt can be code that's maybe inefficient or maybe not as native as possible. But when you invest in something like S3 and a lot of the AWS APIs and managed services, you get those improvements that continuously happen under the hood. And you don't have to worry once you've performed the migration to have to continuously keep migrating. At least, here with S3, 15 years behind us and hopefully many more to come. So looking
Yeah,
forward to that.
we love the journey to the cloud. We love going further into a world where we're always on, continuously integrating and living a lifestyle of optimized modularity, where we can throw in AI ML if we need to improve outcomes, or basically just be able to kind of containerize and at least keep that old widget running and happy in the cloud. So we've got the great variety of options that we have here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, containers. Oof, that's a round here in Pi Week. That's a word for another week. Maybe Containers Week, maybe Containers from the Couch, another show that we run here. But I have a feeling you'll be a popular return guest with terminology and expertise like yours. So thank you again, Ryan, for joining us today for this talk on Lift and Shift with Pi Week.